said, I'm Van, W2DLT. This is, number 60 some odd of our monthly speaker series. And we're delighted to have Tim, K3LR, owner of one of the many, but few of the quality multi-multi stations in the country. And I've got a list here, which I will go through quickly because there's just way too many things to talk about Tim. Tim Duffy, K3LR, graduate of Penn State, retired cable TV and ATT executive, active amateur for 47 years, owner of K3LR Multi-Multi Contest Station in Middlesex, Pennsylvania. It has 12 operator positions, and 132 operators have operated from there over the years. One of the latest groups was Operation Exuberance, which I'm sure Tim will talk about. It was all young people under the age of 18 that were invited from all over the country to speak and operate that station. He is also the coordinator of the Super Suite for 34 years at the Dayton Hamvention. Guest on Ham Nation, which many of you watch, I'm sure. Member of the WRTC 2018 crew. President Emeritus of the Radio Club of America. Contest Hall of Fame in 2006. Barry Goldwater K7UGA Award in 2010. Dayton Hamvention Amateur of the Year in 2015. And is also the COO and General Manager of DX Engineering, which you're all familiar with. And it is my pleasure to turn it over to you, Tim. Thanks for being with us, and we're ready to roll.
Okay, Van, thanks very much for that introduction, and thanks very much to all of you for having me join your club meeting here this evening. We've got some great weather out here in Western Pennsylvania tonight. Now, hopefully you do as well. We're going to talk about the K3LR station, and I'll get right into the slide deck here. All right. So as Van talked about, this is you're going to see a multi-multi contest station here this evening. We've been doing multi-multi contesting from K3LR since 1992, but I've been licensed since 1972. This is actually a year after I was licensed. I had just gotten my general class license, and I was WA3SZX at the time in my parents' house, and this was my bedroom and also my shack. So I've been a ham now over 47 years. K3LR is located right on the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. It is 65 miles northwest of Pittsburgh, but it's also about 65 miles away from Cleveland and about 65 miles away from Akron, Ohio, and also about 70 miles south of Erie. So we can get to a lot of larger cities very quickly. I am in a rural area right along Interstate 80. Any of you who have traveled Interstate 80 may have viewed the K3LR station, which is on the south side of Interstate 80. And I'm 1 mile off of the Ohio border, so 1 mile away from Zone 4, basically, and very, very far west. We are the furthest west multi-op station in Zone 5, but we're also very close to the Asians as far as the first Zone 5 that a lot of the JAs here in Japan. And the real secret to this QTH here is not that it's tremendously high, but we enjoy a very quick takeoff to Europe. It falls down to a riverbed very quickly, and so there's a 300-foot elevation height difference that really helps this QTH work towards Europe and towards Japan. Europe and Japan comprise over 85% of the QSOs for a given contest weekend. And so the terrain is pretty flat towards the Caribbean and towards Australia. Okay, taking a look at some of the antennas. This is the north end of the property. Here is the 160-meter transmit array. It is a 3-element vertical parasitic array. There are also 4 squares for 20 meters and 10 meters in the upper left of this photo. In the middle are 2 4 squares used on 80 meters. They are phased and broadside on Europe. And then at the bottom of the photo, it doesn't look that big, but it is a very large tower. There are stacks for 40 and 10 meters on here, and the tallest antenna is 275 feet. In the middle is where the house is and the shack, and the 15-meter 4-high run stack is here, 10-meter 4-high stack, which is 32 elements, and then the second tallest tower, which is the 245-foot tower, primarily used for 20 meters. So for 40 meters, as Van pointed out, we have 11 operating positions, and so there are 11 antenna systems, and the 40-meter tower, the tower itself is 260 feet tall. The top antenna on top is at 275 feet. That's a 10-meter Yagi. It's 9 elements on a 60-foot boom. But there are 3 full-size 40-meter Yagis on this tower, one at 260 feet, one at 190 feet, and one at 120 feet. There are also 2 large 6-element Yagis on 20 meters on this tower, and then 4 10-meter Yagis. The total tower has 138 square feet of wind load on it. This is what the 40-meter tower looks like with its 138 square feet of wind load from my neighbor's house. And so they have a very good view of lots of the towers here at K3LR. And you can get a little bit of an idea of the size of this. Remember, those large 40-meter beams are 410 pounds each, and the longest element, the reflector, is 75 feet long. Here are some of the 10-meter antennas down the side of the tower. And in the middle of this tower is a horizontal wall or flag, which we use for 160 meters. It's mounted at 160 feet. And all these antennas that are on the sides of the tower are on ring rotators so that they can rotate around the tower. And this is looking up at the 40-meter tower with all of the ring rotators and all of the Yagis. And the second tallest tower is the 20-meter tower. It holds 4 20-meter Yagis. These are 6-element Yagis on 50-foot boom. And at the top of the mast is a 80-meter dipole that we use for the second station on 80 meters. It's at 245 feet. Looking down the tower, some more 20-meter beams. And about in the center of the tower are 2-element 40-meter Yagis that we use for the second station on 40 meters. These are W6NL Moxons. So they're on 22-foot booms, and they have T elements that actually electrically load the elements and make them only 46 feet long. And they work very well. There's one at 185 feet and one at 120 feet. And looking up at the 20-meter tower, again, another very busy tower. The 10-meter tower, these are the 8-element Yagis on 50-foot booms. And last year, unfortunately, there was an accident here at K3LR where a drunk driver got off of the road and hit one of the anchors on the 20-meter tower. And that caused significant damage to the tower and the antennas. So the entire tower had to be replaced, and all of the antennas were replaced. And this was the project last summer here at K3LR. It included this 250-ton crane, which can go to 350 feet. This was a huge project to undertake to rebuild this tower with 10 Yagis on it. This is the top plate of the tower. All of the towers here at K3LR are manufactured by Pyrod. They're solid steel legs, so they're not pipe tower like Roan, and they're extremely strong. And it's a good thing that they are as strong as they were, because when that guy got hit by the pickup truck, the tower did not come over, but there was significant damage to the tower. This is the DX Engineering TB300 or TB400 bearing on the top plate. Here are 2 of the 6-element 20-meter Yagis, the new Yagis getting ready to be put in place. And this was the final Yagi, the top 6-element 20 going in place with the crane. And tower crew on the tower getting ready to accept it, and now the top 20-meter Yagi coming into place. Notice the steps on the mast that are used to climb up the mast to do maintenance on that 80-meter dipole. We actually measured the VSWR by using FaceTime from the ground. So we had the rig expert at 230 feet, and everything looked great. So we were ready to go for the CQ Worldwide contest just in time last October. We use large feed lines here at K3LR for 10 and 15 meters. We use 1 5/8. We want to keep our losses as low as possible. On 160 meters, this antenna is 1,500 feet away from the house, so it also has 1 5/8. But this tower, an element of the parasitic array, it's 120 feet tall. It's also a Pyrod tower, and around it are 4 T-wires, and these T-wires are cut as directors, and they go down to control boxes that have relays in them that allow the T-wire to either float, ground the T-wire to make it a director, or insert a small inductance in series with the T-wire to make it into a reflector. In this case, the right-hand yellow wire is grounded, it becomes a director. The driven element is always the tower, and then the left-hand yellow element has a little bit of inductance in series, so that becomes a reflector. So you have a reflector, driven element, and a director, and the 2 blue elements are floating, so they're out of the circuit. And that gives you a 3-element vertical beam. It can be rotated in 4 different directions instantaneously with relays at the bottoms of these T-wires. And here's the control box at the bottom of one of the T-wires. And here is the feed point of center tower, Pyrod tower, mounted on a ceramic insulator. There are 300 quarter wave radials underneath this tower. And you can see the 1 5/8 hard line going to the feed point.
Is that 60, Tim?
Yes, that's for 160 meters. This is one of the 8 80-meter verticals. You can see the 120 silver soldered radials that are underneath it, vertical in place, and the 4 center towers of the side-by-side 4 squares. Lots of ground strap to make sure everything is really bonded together. And every summer we do checks and tweaks on the verticals to make sure that everything is operating properly. I use the Comtech Systems 4 square boxes. And here's the 20-meter 4 square that we use for receiving only on the second station. As we're calling CQ on the primary station or the run station, this is the way the multiplier station or the second station can hear on the band at the same time. We can get within about 7 kilohertz of the run station and still hear stations on the band simultaneously while we're transmitting. So it's very, very effective. This is a 4 square for 15 meters. And for listening on 80 and 160 meters, we use the high Z 8 circle array. This is 8 23-foot verticals. And this is the center box that takes and does all the phasing and combining. Again, this is all high Z material. And there are chokes on every one of the feed lines as well as every one of the power cables. Here I am with my friend W3YQ. Tim and I have been working on antennas since we were 13 years old together. Tim grew up in Pittsburgh. He works for one of the other DX engineering companies. So we have a lot of interaction still today, and we spend weekends working on antennas together. Lots of cables to make this high Z antenna system work, but it works very well. And it has replaced all the beverages here at K3LR. This is one of the bases of these receiving antennas, and inside is the high Z preamp that is hooked to the 23-foot vertical, along with chokes for the signal and power lines. And here are all the preamps that it takes to run. There are 12 verticals. There's an 8 circle and a 4 square, and they're broadside on Europe. Inside the choke box is 27 turns, a very small coax around a number 31 toroid. This is the house at K3LR. It's a period home. It was built in 1865, and everything has been added to it, including running water and heat, air conditioning, and it's completely restored. We also added on a very nice radio room. The power, the AC mains power is a 50 kilowatt power transformer from Penn Power. If that fails, we have a 50 kilowatt solar generator that comes on 8 seconds after the loss of power. It's a Chevy V8 engine that is natural gas powered and can power us without any problem at all should we lose the AC main. This is the radio room at K3LR, and we'll go around and see some of the operating positions. Here on the left-hand side are the two 80-meter positions. In the far area there is the 160-meter operating position. There are two cable entrances. We're underground, and you can see all of the heliacs coming in the northeast and the southeast. And in the ground, under the radios, in the floor, are 13 8-foot ground rods that were put in the floor before we poured the concrete, and then they've been CAD welded together, so we have a very close connection to ground. Here are some of the operators operating at K3LR. This is a CW contest with K1DG and N0AX. 15 meters has not been a great band here lately. This is during a phone contest. You can see the boom microphones on the Bose QC15 headphones. Here's Dan N6MJ, who won the gold medal along with Chris KL9A at WRTC 2014. He operated here with K3UA on 15 meters in 2017 in CQ Worldwide Phone. They had back-to-back hours of 340 to Europe, an incredible rate produced by these two guys operating together on 15 meters. This is the multiplier position, or the second station on 10 meters. All of the radios at K3LR are ICOM IC7851s. And then we like the green heron rotor boxes. And you can see in the lower left-hand side, the antenna switching boxes. All of the amplifiers except for one are single band amplifiers. So in this case, these amplifiers just work on 10 meters. Here are the antenna switch boxes that we use. These are custom designed. This is the controller for the 40-meter array. We talked about there are 3 full-size 4-element Yagis. And in this case, the operator is selected to just feed the 260-footer. He can feed all 3 if he wants, or just the top 2 or the bottom 2. For 15 meters, there are 4 Yagis. And he has 10 different combinations of how he's going to feed those 15-meter Yagis. Speaking of 15, here's N6TV and N6AN operating in CQ Worldwide on 15 CW. Having 2 operators on a band with an interlock means you have to coordinate with each other, and that's very important. The 15-meter run box, in this case, they had the bottom 3 antennas being fed, 120 over 80 over 40. And on their watt meter, it also shows them which antennas are being fed. I like the Drake W4 watt meters, although the SO239s had to go because they were over 50 years old. So we put nice, shiny, new Teflon ones on. And here's the rotor box stack for 40 meters. CL1QQ brought a mug from Germany. It says size matters. This is the largest 40-meter antenna array in the world. 4 elements or taller, and boy does it work well. Each one of these single band amplifiers is a single 8877. We run 1500 watts output, no more, no less. The multi-multi operations in the United States all run very fair and by the book, and so we do as well. Each one of the amplifiers has its own 4,000 volt power supply that goes to the 8877. And here's the 20 run position showing the amplifier and then the 4 rotor boxes for 20. So these are the 2 operating positions for 20 meters. On the left is the second station or the multiplier station. On the right is the run station. This is 10 meters and 3GJ as the main 10-meter operator. And this is 160 meters. There's a lot going on here. There are 16 different receive antennas, and so there's a lot of knobs and switches at the 160-meter position. I offer the CW end of the 160-meter DX contest, and John does the phone operating. We use a DX Engineering noise-canceling controller. You also can see the control box for the horizontal Waller flag. So lots of antennas here on 160. Sandy, DL1QQ, is a frequent operator here. Sandy and I were partners at the WRTC 2018, and she is a tremendous CW operator in addition to being a great phone operator. We use the Bose QC15s for our headphones because they're noise canceling and they work very well. I talked about that we use the ICOM IC7851s. We've never had any problems with these radios. They continue to be extremely reliable. We've never had a failure during the DX contest of one of the radios, so it's worked out very well. Here's Al N5UM, who operates with me on 75 meters. Here's Al at 4:15 in the morning, taking a little power nap, getting ready for our JA run, which might be 10 or 15 stations if we're lucky. You can also see in this photo the Intel NUC. These are now our logging computers. These are full Windows machines with sound cards and solid-state hard drives. They run on 12 volts, and they're very Wi-Fi quiet. And so all of the desktops are now gone at K3LR, and we're using these NUCs. On 80 meters, we share that dual Foursquare that we talked about between the run and alt stations by using the 80 meter XL Twin Turbo +2, a custom designed switch that allows the array to go back and forth seamlessly between the two stations. We use high power, low pass harmonic filters that originally started their life out in New Jersey at K2GL, actually in New York, K2GL. And when the operators are not operating and they need to take a break, they come to the DX barn. And this sign is from the DX Gas Company, which was in the Midwest. And when I lived in Oklahoma City, I saw this one and had to have it, so we moved it up here to Western Pennsylvania. And we turn it on 4 times a year. It's a very old sign. We turn it on at the end of each DX contest. Inside the DX barn is a very nice area, kitchen, bathroom, and sleeping for 8. And also my QSL card collection is in the rear of the bedroom here with over 150,000 QSL cards. Here's some more operators. These two guys are operating 20 meters. Andy is on the run station and John is on the second station, and they're doing CW. This is the phone weekend with the boom mics attached to the Bose headsets. We use the DX Engineering foot switch. Doesn't explode, doesn't cause you any trouble, works every time. We have one of these for each one of the stations. And this is the lockout box for the run and mult stations to ensure that there is only one transmitter on the air at a given time. There's a little red light above the mult station that if the run station is transmitting, it goes red. If he's not transmitting, it's off. So that tells the mult station if he can transmit or not. The mult station has the Foursquare controls as well to be able to listen. So this is the multiplier box, and we try to have a good time. We're very serious about these operations, but the guys all do have a good time. Here's Otis, NP4G, who comes up and does 10 meters in the ARL phone contest. They've had a lot of time on their hands here the past couple of years with the poor conditions on 10 meters. Justin, G4TSH, comes over for CQ Worldwide CW every year and operates with Phil. Here you can see all the operators in their chairs for the most part during the CQ Worldwide contest last year. We've been doing analytics since the start. We keep track of the scores, our scores, and also our competitors' scores, and our high water marks for each band. There's a lot of strategy that goes into the planning of a multi-multi. This used to be the CW skimmer rack at K3LR. It's been replaced by NUCs. And so there are 6 NUC computers now that power the Perseus SDR radios that copy the CW during the CW contest. And we also contribute to the reverse beacon network. A little close-up of the Perseus receivers. They're made in Italy. Lots of ferrite at K3LR on all the power cables to keep all the RF noise down. Linear power supplies. We take coffee very seriously as well. We have 30 different selections of coffee and tea made by the cup. It takes a lot to power 12 to 14 operators over the course of a weekend. We do have a chef from Houston, Texas. He doesn't operate. He just takes care of making sure we're well fed. Sal takes care of the kitchen. Sal is from New Jersey originally, and it is a great contest operator in his own right, but has found his real love is cooking. And N2NC makes breakfast on phone. I make them on CW, and all the operators get to order what they would like for breakfast. And so we eat well, and we contest hard and try to win. We use the Win Test logging software for all our computers. We have 25 computers involved on the logging network here. Boy, I'd kill to have these 10-meter numbers now. 170 countries, 38 zones. Boy, can't wait till 10 meters comes back. So this was a few years ago. I'm voracious about QSLing. Everybody that we work, the first time we worked them on a band mode, they get a QSL card from K3LR via the Bureau. And so a Bureau mailing of between 40 and 50 pounds of cards goes out every year in the March time frame. I like T-shirts too. This is, of course, Team K3LR and CW. And at the end of the contest, we get together with W3LPL and other multi-multi stations on the real 3830 to exchange scores after the contest. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't. And we've been here last couple of years entering the CQ Worldwide RIDI contest, and we'll be on next weekend in the RIDI contest, operating in the multi-single category. So here's one of the group photos. We do take a group photo every time, and it's I love this ham radio stuff. That's what ILTHRS is. So a good crew and lots of fun, and each crew is a little different. It was the 2018 CQ Worldwide last November at K3LR, a good crew of operators from all over the world. VE3RA from Toronto and K5GN from Houston, K1TO from Florida, G4TSH from London, England. So N6TV from San Jose, California. And the real reason we do it, we're having a great time. We're best friends. Many of us have known each other for over 40 years. One of the things I'm most proud about here at K3LR is that through the course of the year, we have over 20 clubs that come and visit here and spend time getting on the air and learning about antennas, learning about operating, and learning about real life. This is the University of Pitt Panther, their ham radio club came up to K3LR and visited. The Pitt club is W3YI, and we spent all day on Saturday having a good time talking about radio, talking about life and jobs and school and all sorts of things. So very proud that we have people that visit here all the time, get to see this wonderful station. So that is my presentation. I will attempt to get the screen back to me. Hopefully that is the case. Do you see me again?
Yeah,
Yes, looks good.
Okay. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
What size wire do you use for your radios?
Using number 16, and it's number 16 solid copper, and it's tinned. So it actually looks like it's steel galvanized wire, but it's copper.
Above ground? On the ground?
I just put them on the ground, and I like to do radial fields in September and October, and by the springtime, they're all gone.
Why do you use ICOM instead of Kenwood, like a Kenwood 840 or something like that?
I used to use Kenwood. I had very good luck with the TS930 years ago, but then what happened was ICOM developed the IC765 back in the early 90s. Russ Healy, K2UA, was the product reviewer, and he said it was the best receiver he had ever used. And so I tried it, and I really liked it, and I liked the ergonomics. And about that time, Kenwood was having trouble with the 950 and 950. And so I went from the 765s to the 781s to the 7800s and the 7851s. I have been extremely happy with ICOM. I have tried other radios. I've tried Yaesu. I've used K3s. have used the Kenwoods, but when it comes to reliability and ergonomics and receivers that work very, very well, the ICOM has been our radio of choice.
Have you considered getting into the realm of DSP, i.e. the latest versions of Flex radios and things like that?
I have used the Flex radios. I've been down at the Flex plant. I think what they're doing down there is tremendous. However, there's so many adjustments and so many things that you have to learn to operate a Flex. The operators, when they come here, I want them making QSOs, not trying to figure out how every last feature works. There is DSP, lots of DSP in the ICOM 7851, so we're not behind the curve, and we are using SDRs as our skimmer radios. So the Flex is a very complicated, complex system. We don't have enough time to teach all the operators how to operate a different platform. I can teach somebody how to operate a 7851 in less than 10 minutes.
When did you go to Penn State?
I graduated from Penn State in 1982.
Were you active in K3CR?
Yes, I was too active at K3CR. I had a tough time getting up for class in the morning.
I was president of K3CR back in '74. It's WXQ.
Tell Tim who you are when you ask your question. Give him your call and your name. So.
Yes, Tim, this is WX2R. We had the pleasure of meeting each other at RSGB last year over in England. So you really great presentation there. Quick question, just obviously you're not in the warmest spot in North America. Have you ever had any problems in terms of icing? You know, and also just looking at winter operations with winter maintenance.
Yeah, winter can be a challenge. I think, you know, our biggest challenge during winter is snow static. But we've only had one icing event here, and it was back in the 90s. And the ice was so bad that the only time we quit a contest. Saturday morning, the antennas just didn't work very well. And then we ended up losing power for 6 hours. And one of our operators was coming from Buffalo, New York, and the snow was so bad, he didn't arrive until after we quit, which was kind of a bad thing. But that's only happened one time, and it was in March. It was the first weekend in March, the aerial phone contest. Other than that, we've really not had weather trouble here.
Hi, Tim. This is Steve, WI2W. First off, thanks for a great presentation. What do you do, or do you do anything outside of the major contest to train up-and-coming ops?
So Van talked about Team Exuberance, and if you take a look at a QST in August, there is a 3-page article on Team Exuberance where we operated this past March with 6 youth operators, all under the age of 18. And so that was a training exercise unlike anything I've ever done before. We had 3 of the parents were here, and also W3YQ was here, but they had never set foot in K3LR before and had to train them on the radios, train them on how to operate 2 radios on a band. They had set a goal to make 4,000 contacts in the WPX phone contest. When we finished the 48-hour operation, and we were multi-2, not multi-multi, just multi-2 transmitters, they had worked, because the adults made no QSOs, they had worked over 6,000 QSOs. And they are the results were just published in CQ. They're #1 in North America and #4 in the world. So it was pretty incredible. And the plaques are being made, and each one of those young operators will have a copy of the plaque that will hang on the wall here at K3LR.
Great.
When will you do it again, Tim? This is Van.
I don't know, Van. You know, it's sort of one of those things that was very special to do. Many of those operators, many of those youth operators are now going out and doing other youth activities. So we'll think something up, but I'm not done with it.
Well, the reason I'm asking is our club is very dedicated to finding young operators and trying to get people involved early on. And Team Exuberance is just the epitome of what can be done. So that's why we're interested.
Yep, those young operators are out there. You just have to find them.
How big is the backyard that you have with all those towers?
So I have 12 acres here.
4 acres?
12.
1, 2.
What about the lightning protection for that antenna farm?
So the lightning protection is to disconnect everything. So basically from March to October, the station is not hooked up. Everything is disconnected. And so that gets us out of the lightning season.
What kind of, WA2AOI, what kind of wire or rope do you use to support your towers?
So all the towers are supported with Philly strand guy wire. And Philly strand is extremely strong, robust, and I just had no troubles whatsoever with that. As far as the wire, the only wire antennas we have are the T wires for the 160 meter array, and that's copper weld. That wire doesn't break. It's very, very strong. Every few years it has to be replaced because the copper will go away from it, and all you're left with is steel. But because it's steel wire, it just does not break, which is really nice. Any other questions?
Anything else?
Fred W2AAB. I said thank you so much for the presentation. About 7 of us here tonight are also members of Frankfurt. So my first question is, what lucky club gets your aggregate?
The lucky club is the North Coast Contesters, which I'm a charter member of and currently president of. It is centered in between Cleveland and Pittsburgh, and we have about 50 members. We're nowhere near the size of Frankfurt, but we do have a good time, and we've got several stations. We compete in the medium club category, and we are the #1 station in the medium club ARRL DX contest from 2019.
Have you ever figured, in round numbers, first of all, what the overall cost of constructing this entire station was, part 1? Part 2, the cost to annually maintain it. Just curious.
So the answer to part 1, I have no idea. I mean, Fred, you're looking at almost 33 years of my life that I put into. I don't have any other hobbies. I have one grown son, and I try not to have any bad habits. So at the end of the day, I put everything I got into this. And number 2, the maintenance. There is a tower crew here 3 days a week, and they're not cheap. But there's a list of things that we have to do to keep the maintenance up, and then also to get better. And so it's very important to me that the station work perfectly. When these operators come here, they're coming here, they're taking time off of work, time away from their family, they're paying for their own plane tickets. They're coming here to win. And sometimes we can win, sometimes we don't win, but I want to make sure we have the best shot possible. Annual maintenance really fluctuates. Obviously, last year, when there was a big insurance claim to replace that tower, that was very expensive. But it is well into 6 figures on an annual basis.
And the power company bill too is kind of large.
Right, but Fred, to do a weekend contest, it costs about $200 in electricity, and I don't know any place you can have fun with 12 or 14 guys for $200.
And you take great care of it too. Thanks.
Thank you.
Tim, question?
Yes.
The selection process of those individuals who, quote, apply to you, what criteria do you use to select the best operators to win?
So what has happened over the years is we've really found a good core group of about 30 guys that work very well together in these contests. One of the key things is that every one of the operators that operates here is on the air a lot. They're on the air in almost every contest. I myself, I'm on the air every day. You can find me on CW every night. I am on the air. And so that's one of the key things. And the guys that are operating here have contest resumes that go back 25, 30 years. And so one of the things is that if you operate here and you enjoy operating here and you're good at it, you get the right of first refusal for the next contest. So that's why typically the same guys are coming back year after year. That doesn't always happen. K1TO last year, that was his first time here. I've been trying for 20 years to get him to come here to operate, and it finally worked out. We had an opening, and he was able to come here. So, but that's kind of how the whole operator thing works.
Thank you.
Tim, this is Van again. Tell the group something about Contest U at Dayton. Many of us go to Dayton, but I don't know how many have taken the Contest U. I know Jim has, I have, there's 2 or 3 here in the group.
Yeah, Contest University is really a good single-day program. You can go to contestuniversity.com and take a look at the video section. There are lots of videos there on lots of topics, and all of the slide decks are there as well. So if you look under presentations, you can see all the slides that were used at Contest University. But it's great if you're just getting started, or if you're a medium kind of contest operator, or even an expert. There's always things you learn. Every year I learn something there. And there's 24 presentations given. It is a day that is just jam-packed with information on how to build a station, how to maintain a station, how high to put up antennas, what radios you might want to look at. Rob Sherwood, NC0B, gives a great presentation at the end of Contest University on all the latest radio technology. It's really top-notch stuff. The professors that give the talks are very well experienced veterans, and there's a lot of focus on Q&A and small group participation. So if you want to learn more about operating and building a station and having fun with contesting, I encourage you to come to Contest University. We'll have it again in May next year. It's the day before the Dayton Hamvention in downtown Dayton.
Hi, this is WS2Q. I don't know if you remember, we actually had breakfast Sunday morning at the hotel in Dayton.
You're the waterman.
Yeah, that's right. Of all the radios I've seen, there's only one radio that you had and I had. And I'm wondering if you still had it. And that was when you, in your very first photo, your DX60B.
Yeah, I do.
That's great.
It's down in the barn.
There you go.
And safe. And so my plans are when my 50th anniversary, which will occur here in about 2.5 years, I'm going to fire that puppy up and then it'll be back on the air.
That's great. Great presentation.
Thank you. And that was a great breakfast with you. I hope we do it again.
Tim, we had a DX60B on the air a month ago at our meeting here.
Oh, that's great.
And W2AAB put it on the air and made several contacts.
And they work.
Very nice.
We had a vintage night at the club.
To be fair, my first transmitter was the Johnson Adventurer, and that's safe in the barn too.
Anybody else? Well, Tim, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. And this worked out very well. I know Tom was a little bit apprehensive about it.
A little nervous.
Drove Terry nuts, I'm sure, but we got the job done, and between Jim, W2JC, and Tom, W2NZ, and a bunch of others, Brad, KM2C, oh, he's shaking his head. But
I'll just move the camera around.
And we got just a ton of stuff working and working well. And we're going to put it on the road, I think. We'll do some other people by Skype now that we know how it works.
Good.
Thank you for the experience.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks very much.